Hey everybody, how's it going? trueeevil here, and today I'm going to walk you through on how to build Wonder as a support unit in Persona 5 the Phantom X. Now this is a little bit more trickier than building him as a DPS, but once you unlock his second weapon in the second palace, you do get the option to build him as a support unit. And the reason why I say it's not as straightforward and it's a little bit trickier is, well, support units are going to need a lot of different things to fill your gaps in your party. For example, if I am using Tomoko as a buffer, then I don't really need Wonder to be a buffer. What I need him to be is a debuffer, and vice versa. If you're using Yao Ling, you don't really need a debuffer, right? You need a buffer. So having those different options, as well as if you're using both of these at the same time, then you're going to need some heals to go along with them. And that is just so many roles, and unfortunately, there isn't a persona right now that can do all those roles. So, what you're going to need to do is teach a persona that has some of these options and really make it so that Wonder can cover everything in the game and make him the best support unit possible. So, let's go and figure out how to do that. Now, to build Wonder as a support unit, you're really going to want to pick a persona that is really going to make him tanky and have a lot of support options. And the best persona at level 40 in my opinion for this is going to be Unicorn, and that is because of spiritual protection. Not only does it increase your healing, but when your allies take damage and they have no debuffs, you get 26% increase in defense, which is a ton. Now, to really make this great, we need a cleanse, and luckily the main skill of Unicorn is a really strong heal that also cleanses. Unfortunately, what makes Unicorn not the best is because, well, the other abilities are just cleanses, right? But we already have a cleanse on a heal, so why would we even level these up? And because of that, how you want to build Unicorn is to actually teach Unicorn new skills to make it so that you have those options. For example, you have a buff effect, you have a AoE heal, and you have a debuff, and you're going to want to change this depending on your party. So let's talk about how to teach Unicorn what skills you want the Unicorn to know. Now, to figure out which skills you're actually going to need for your persona, you're going to want to just go straight to the teach skills, and what I would recommend to do is just click here and go all the way down to the buffs and debuffs and really figure out what you need for your party. For example, if you don't have a attack buff, you're going to want to go down to the attacks and figure out which one you want. Now, there's going to be two options for this, whereas one is an AoE attack buff, but the AoE attack buff isn't as strong as the single target one. The single target one is about a 50% increase in attack damage. And if you're only using one DPS, for example, you're only using Joker as your DPS, you're only using Panther as your DPS, you're probably wanting to get the single target one for that 50% increase in attack, since you're not using multiple DPSs. Now, if you are using multiple DPSs, it's usually always better to get the full on party increase. And this is really just going to depend on your play style as well as who you pull. So really take that into consideration. As well as if you don't have a debuff, for example, figure out which debuff you need. For example, maybe you don't have someone who reduces attack, so you're going to want to get that one as your debuff option. Generally, what I like to do for Unicorn, because the heal is single target, I am going to get Media to do the AoE heal, just in case if I need that option, as well as in my party, I really want to get a attack buff, since the passive on Unicorn is going to give a defense up. So in that regard, want to get the single target one. And if I'm using Tomoko, well, maybe I don't need this option, right? But in parties where I'm not using Tomoko and I'm using Yao, then, well, I'm going to get that for sure. And vice versa, well, I have Tomoko and not Yao, so I'm going to want to get a debuff. For example, I'm going to want to get the decreased defense. It's going to be really, really personal with what you want to build. Now, this is a lot of buffs and debuffs options, and sometimes you are going to want your support unit to do damage. So let's talk about some support personas that are going to be able to dish out some damage as well as support options. Now, the persona I really recommend as a DPS unit that also is a support unit is going to be Lamia. And the reason for that is not only are you getting that ailment accuracy for burning, you're getting that attack buff for your party. And more importantly, the Bonfire Festival has an extremely high chance of inflicting burn, so pretty much guarantee you're going to get that attack buff, as well as there's just really nice options for supports. You're going to get Media, which is a nice AoE heal, and then you can either have an AoE attack, and since right now my Wanderer is a DPS, I go for that option, but you can get the ailment AoE, as well as just teach a different buff if you don't necessarily need that ailment accuracy and resistance. I really personally like this one though because of the speed increase. It's really, really strong, and I personally like this buff a whole lot, especially as a AoE buff. So usually going to just keep Lamia the same way, and what I would do is just take away the AoE and do this. And this is a really strong option because, well, you don't have to actually learn any personas. And at the beginning of the game right now, well, you're going to be using a lot of your stamina, not farming the personas you need to maximize your wonder, but to just level all your characters up. So it's really nice to have an option where you don't have to teach the persona any skills, because that is a little bit too much resource heavy, at least right now in my opinion. So really great option. And for the third option is going to be Principality, and that is because of the skill on this bad boy, which is increases your defense, but after using healing skills is going to increase the party's defense. And because of this, you're going to want to teach a skill that has an AoE heal. And that is pretty easy. You just add media to the character, and then for that third skill, you're going to unlock a defense buff, but I actually don't like that for this character because you're already getting so much defense. So what I would recommend is either learning a debuff where you can do a defense down or a attack down, or an attack buff. And once you mix that up, then this character is going to really fill in a lot of that support options. It's going to be able to have defense up, heal, as well as a buff of your choice. So I like the attack up. And that is really all there is to know about how to build Wonder. And, you know, personally, I am building him as a DPS and I'm going to keep it that way, but I really understand that you get that need for a support just because, well, Joker is absolutely amazing. So there you have it. I hope this guide really helped you figure out how you wanted to build your support Wonder. The best thing about the main characters in all Persona games is, well, there's no main way to build it, and I really encourage you to really figure out what you want for your support character. So that's about it. Let me know if this was helpful, as well as if there's any other guides you want to see on this game. So see you next time.